welcome back. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Kait. Here on this channel we talk all about mom life. I'm a foster parent, so we talk a lot about foster mom life as well, adoption if you're interested in that, as well as intentional living, purposeful living, and living your best life, living your best mom life. So if any of that interests you, I would love to have you subscribe, hit that red button down below, and join the community here. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about discipline in foster care. So obviously there is absolutely no corporal punishment, no spankings, no hitting, no physical discipline of any way, shape, or form allowed in foster care. And this is not only on your foster children, if you have biological children as well, this applies to them as well. If you spank, you will not be approved as a foster parent. Plain and simple, we'll put it that way. So there's a lot of different techniques that we learn about in our training to help us as foster parents and adoptive parents. And there's a couple things that I have learned that have really helped with even with my biological children, parenting them and dealing with discipline over the years. Today what I really wanted to talk to you about was preventing the actions that cause discipline to be needed in the first place. And I have two things that I like to do, two little things in my parenting toolbox that I can share with you. Maybe you've heard them before, maybe you don't think they're valuable, I don't know, but they seem to work for me and my kids, so I wanted to share them with you. A lot of my friends commenting about how well behaved my children are, family members as well, and it's something my husband and I really try hard with. Of course, we fail many times. There's been lots of trial and error as to what works best. Each of our children are different and we have to parent them a little bit differently. So these are just two things that we do with our biological children as well as our foster children that allow actions that require discipline to be kept at a minimum. So the first little parenting tip or technique I have for you is the when-then statements. So let me give you an example of this. When you finish up all your supper, then we get to go to the park. Or when you hold mommy's hand nicely in the grocery store, then we get to finish sooner so we can go home and play. So instead of giving your child a choice or, if you eat up your dinner, we get to go to the park, it's when. You're making that decision for them. When they do something, then they get this reward. I find this really helps using these two terms, when you then you whatever it may be. It works in so many areas as far as if you're trying to get your kids to eat, if you're trying to get your kids to get ready faster and out the door faster, if you're trying to get your kids to complete a chore without complaining. So I use this little tip often. I find it works really well with my kids. I find them even starting to say it back to me. They'll be like, Mommy, when you finish up all the dishes, then we'll be able to go to the park. Mommy, when we get ready fast in the morning, we have time to go to the park before school. Little things like that. I find them actually saying them back to me. So think of things you often say. For me, it was, if you don't clean your room, then I'm throwing out all your toys. And I often made it more of a consequence or fear-based parenting method, which is something that I have found just is not helpful. And I think it takes, lots of years of experience and different children to kind of hone your parenting skills. And, caring for my 2 biological children and 9 foster children has taught me a lot. And everybody needs to be parented a little bit differently. And some things work better for other kids, but I find this when and then statement really helps. So think of things that you say often if it's more consequence-based or fear-based, ways that you can change that sentence into a when-then situation. And try it out with your kids. Honestly, it's helped so much with my kids, so I think you will definitely find some success with it if you just give it a try. So think of things that you say often and how you can rephrase them. The second thing that I wanted to share with you, the little parenting tip, is the preparing them. So children thrive on routine, and that's one reason that so many kids in foster care are so dysregulated is because they're not used to any sort of routine or a very poor routine, a routine that is not meant for them. Some of our past foster children have just stayed up really late at night because that's when their parents were up, and then slept all day because that's when their parents slept. And these are not healthy routines for our kids. So kids thrive on routines. This is what leads into this tip, preparing them. So I will say, if we're going to a family get-together or we're going out to a restaurant, before we get out, I turn off the car, I turn around, I look at the kids, and I say, okay, we are going into this restaurant, and Mommy and Daddy expect you to be well-behaved, not running around, sitting in your seats, not yelling, whatever it may be, your expectations of your children. But we just lay out our expectations and prepare them beforehand. So when I'm going to the grocery store, I will say something like, okay, we're going in the grocery store. I expect you guys to be standing beside the cart by Mommy, no wandering off, no yelling or running in the stores. Stay by Mommy, and you're going to be Mommy's helpers. So I'll say little things like that to them, and they're like, okay, and it gets them thinking, it gets them on board with the way you want this experience to go versus just buck wild and them going crazy. The other thing I want to mention when we talk about preparedness, if you're dealing with younger children, toddlers, preschoolers in specific, don't go at nap time, don't go at meal time, just don't go when they're naturally hungry or tired. If they're feeling hungry, tired, angry, or lonely, those are the 4 times you're going to get the worst behavior out of your children. So just try to avoid those times going out places. These are little people with big emotions, and they are not adults. Most adults don't even know how to handle their emotions properly. How can you expect these little ones to? It's our job as adults to help them deal with these big emotions that they have. They're angry because so-and-so took a toy for them, or you made them eat vegetable, whatever they seem to be angry about. Don't immediately jump into an activity where you expect them to be super well behaved. You have to deal with that anger first. Again, and hungry and tired, those are things that are very easy to avoid. Going to the grocery store or going out, whatnot. I mean, obviously sometimes it can't be avoided. You're invited to a lunch at a restaurant in the middle of baby's nap time and you have to go, kind of thing. As much as possible, just be prepared. Prepare them for what you expect as parents. Prepare them for the behaviors that you expect, and you preparing as far as time and emotions, that just helps to set them up for success. Helps everybody in the family to live in a little bit more peace and to minimize the meltdowns. I think very often as parents, we're busy and we're bringing our kids to this activity and that activity, and we're not giving them necessarily enough downtime, or just not preparing them. We're out of routine. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what's coming next. Just by preparing them and letting them know how you expect them to behave will really set you guys up for success. Just to finish off this whole preparedness tip, after we get back, I will reward them and I will say, Mommy is so proud of you guys. You guys were such excellent helpers. You did so good standing by the cart. You did so good not running around. And all of the good things that they did, I just reiterate that to them. So then this becomes a learned behavior for them. When they go to the grocery store, they're expected to behave this way. And Mommy loves it when they do this, 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 and this. And kids love to be praised and love to feel rewarded. Rewarding with food and bribes, that's not necessarily the best way of parenting, in my opinion. I think rewarding with food to a degree will set kids up for emotional eating problems later in life, and maybe that's just from my experience, I don't know. But I really try not to reward with food. Sometimes it happens, getting dessert after dinner, that sort of thing. But I try to reward them in other ways and just give them positive reinforcement, and not just, bribing them with candy the whole shopping ride, because then the candy runs out and you're not done the grocery shopping, so then they start flipping out. That's just not the best way. Is it a parenting technique that has to be used sometimes? Yes, guys, I am not above the bribe. My kids will get bribed with candy and lollipops sometimes as well. That's, kind of the arsenal I have in my back pocket as far as if we're dealing with meltdowns or whatnots. But bribing shouldn't be the first choice. There's a lot of other really great parenting techniques and parenting methods that will help you to get better behavior out of your children. Anyways, I hope this when and then and the preparedness parenting techniques were helpful to you to help you feel a little bit more confident in your parenting skills. If you don't read a lot of parenting books and relying on your mother's intuition is how you parent, and that's completely okay too. But maybe you're struggling and you don't really know how to deal with some of these behaviors, and you don't want to have to worry about disciplining. You want to minimize the problems to begin with. Definitely give these 2 techniques a try and let me know if they were helpful to you. Comment down below if you already use these parenting techniques or a different parenting technique that you find helpful to avoid the whole action that needs to be disciplined in the first place. Please, guys, like this video if you liked it. Comment down below, help other parents to find this channel and join this community. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.